Yeah, welcome to the BluGuitar office. This is my space, this is my room, my little blue sofa, and of course we can see hundreds of documents on the wall, which is marketing, distribution, AMPX, signal flow, all our calendars. And here is the next office with the famous Kai Sonnhalter on his desk. Of course we can see more of those maps. All these black dots are German dealers. That's the map of Germany. And of course more calendars. Yeah, what a beautiful day outside. I show you more here. That's a very special number from UPS in case we have to ship something, another office desk. This is a very special French tube amplifier. People talk about lunchbox amps. Well, this thing is from the 60s, maybe even from the 50s. And as you can see, this is a 50 watts Il-34 amp found in a French church. Heavy. Okay, this is our display for the twin cab with both amps, the Mercury edition and the Iridium edition. And there live a few of those nice fellows here, which are the nanotube creatures. And another one. They live in this nice shelf here. Okay. A few prices, as we can see. And let's go downstairs. The kitchen. This is our mini warehouse. This is not our actual warehouse. This is just where we stock some trade show stuff and, you know, headphones, displays, marketing, t-shirts. You guys should have these t-shirts. You know, there's the one AMP1 in front of it. Then we have the One shirt, and we have the Academy of Tone shirts here, which are down there. Academy of Tone. Yeah, another test station when we have repairs. So this is a quick one. Just plug in the faulty amp, you know, power, speaker, input, cable, monitor. So it's very fast to check stuff. Yeah. And this is our little R&D department with Mr. Julian Preuss, the one and only. Ta-da! Yeah, he is the man behind lots of things, currently working on AMPX software, as we can see. And in the shelves we can see tons of PCBs. By the way, this is a silver edition. You can see it by the green PCB. And this is Mercury edition or Iridium. This says Iridium, so it's an Iridium. You can tell by the black PCB. So green is always silver, black is either Mercury or Iridium. Yeah, and here's more prototypes in the shelves and things we are working on and stuff you shouldn't see. So anyway, we leave this holy place. One more thing I would like to show you. These are the components, the pin set, scissors. So these are actually what we are using as capacitors. I mean, you can almost inhale those. Hard to read the values. Yeah, so this is capacitors. These are the transistors. And there's all kinds of LEDs and other components. This is so-called SMD, surface mount devices. They are so small, compact, lightweight, and reliable. Okie doke. Then I show you more at my place. So, los geht's. Okay, let's do a ride back home. Umleitung. That's one of those really important signs. And here's another Umleitung. Well, this is Bismarckstraße. I hope you know who Bismarck was. And that's the street where Kai lives. Haha. Okay. I'll make a quick little detour so you see our nice park called the Staden, and that's a place where people enjoy hanging out. Oops, there's tons of lights. Okay. Wow. See? Hundreds of great people drinking beer, having a great time. Huh? That's a good life. This is all part of the Staden. We're going home like this. This was our little detour. Yep. Back to the office, which is here. Okay, and now I make the detour to the other right. This way. Hello, Cleveland. No, this is how to go home the fast way. Very important, Polizei. And even more important, beautiful girls in the sun. Okay. Baby, that one. Check, free. Okay. Okay. This is our brewery, a local Bruchbrauerei. Yeah, they have their own beers and of course beer fests. Whoops, pedestrians crossing, high heels, not too fast. Okay. Okay, hurry up so we make that traffic light hopefully before it's going red. Yoo! Yep. Just in time, okay. So here we have a beer garden. And then we go here. There's tons of public schools. To our right over here. Yeah. Some sports stuff here. And now we're heading towards my home. Good thing, dead end street, not too much traffic, not noisy. But I have to park my car. I park it here. Yeah. Okay, then let's go home. Here we are. Let me show you my living room. Ching, ching, ching. Well, first of all, we see a few prizes. The Strat King Award on the top. Then the best German rock and pop guitar player and whatever. Here is my Virtual Guitarist Electric Edition, and these are actually AMP1 prototypes. This one has never seen a production, but this is custom controls, everything handmade, and it's actually working. You know, this is a very, very precious thing. There is a very first attempt only in 50 watts, just to check out if it works. Yeah, a few books, and this is kind of my DVD collection of concerts that I played. See all these dates and where I played. CDs, my stuff here. Yeah, whatever. Things like that. And a few guitars, of course, as you can see. Well, you know that guitar. You shouldn't see the logo on this one, but it's another gold top for the future. Okay. Then this is the TV, of course. And here we have this. Here is more guitars, more straps. The 56 Les Paul Jr. And here, look at this. This is my BluGuitar Masterbuilt killer guitar. I have, I think, 4 or 5 of those. They are so good I can't sell them. I have to keep them. This one, there's my real 1960s Strat, which is this one. Fender. This used to be my number 2 Strat for years. Kind of my backup. Now I have a few more. This one is a new BluGuitar, nicely aged by my niece Leonie, signed by Otto Walkes, the famous German comedian. Looks killer. Here's kind of a in between. Oops. That's doesn't even exist. It's kind of a leftover parts caster using some of the BluGuitar necks and Summer of Love bodies, you know, stuff that was lying around, but also killer guitar. Then there's a great maple neck, which I actually don't show enough, which is a Morgan Jörg Tandler. It's kind of a copy of a 56 maple neck Strat. And this is already, I don't know, made in the 90s, 1990s. Such a great guitar. Slightly V-neck shape here, just a slight, not too much. Killer. And there is my Tokai maple neck. You can hear it's out of tune and the other one sounds better. But it's also a good one. ST1000 is the series where they had limited run of guitars, but highest quality. Yeah. So this is going on here. Follow me. Well, kitchen, but let's go upstairs. This is the place where I sometimes record with another BluGuitar, AMP1. You know, when I do my Gary Moore or whatever in the morning, I use this sofa for practicing or having fun. It's a nice place with a beautiful balcony. I show you. So quiet, dead end street. Killer, yeah. And then upstairs, this will be my studio one day when I have the time to set it up. Modified Mackie 32.8 mixing console, all analog, old school. My Oberheim expander, fully analog, digitally controlled. That technology inspired me to do something like the AMPX. Yeah, and then, you know, Bassmaster, a few things, but I didn't have the time to set the thing up here. And on the rooftop we have a lot more. Guitars, acoustic guitars, cases, and here, this is all the good old 2-inch tapes. AMPX 456, 499, you know, all my early records have been recorded on this one. See, this is original David Dundas studio from London. This is where I recorded my Beauty of Simplicity. We're talking about late Lord David Dundas, the guy that composed Jeans On. Was a huge hit in his studio I recorded. Yeah, that's a nice place here because it's totally dry, not too hot, not too cold. And this is where I store my guitars, fretless bass, acoustic guitars. You can see a sitar. Yeah, done electro, Les Paul, Melody Maker, acoustic guitars, nylon strings. Yeah, the whole 9 yards of guitars that you need when you go on tour or in the studio. So, what else? Yeah, this little rack. I'll show you. Okay, here another Blue guitar. Doesn't look so cool, but it sounds so good. This is the Saarland caster. If you see this, looks like the shape of the Saarland. So we are actually here in Saarbrücken. This is St. Wendel, this is where Jusen-Kettner is, and there's something like Saarlouis, but we're here. Some test things like Les Pauls with a smaller body, you know, to make kind of kids guitars. Lightweight, compact, and that's a real blue guitar, which is super cool. I love it with this Lake Placid blue. Yeah. There's my real 1964 Strat, the one mint condition, all original 3-way switch. Here we go. Yeah, nice guitar. Okay, and then finally we should see the video studio and the rest. Let's go downstairs. The speaker collection first, maybe. Yeah. Whoa. So, follow me. This big shelf is filled with, well, on top here we start speakers, you know, G12, H55 Hertz. Then there's Greenbacks made from the UK, 80s, 8 ohms, 16 ohms, Greenback 20 watts, which is a 1966 Greenback. That's another one, all original stuff. Greenback, the new ones. I think there's even the Neo Greenback, roller, whatever, warehouse guitar speakers, Jensen's, T60s, whatever. And here's more, well, here's a few electronic components, resistors, blah blah blah. Didn't use them, but this is what you need for tube amps. And there's more on this side, like tubes, and this is bias, measurement, bias meter, and tubes and tubes and rectifier tubes. Yeah, a few more speakers and even more speakers down here. You know, this is like a 65, one of those great ones. And I make note that sounds a bit rockerier than I have one that is a bit more, whatever, bluesier. And yeah, CDs and blah blah blah, tons of things. Okay, let's go for the next room. So there's more stuff like the ISO cab. Inside this cab I have my good old Marshall 412. Yeah, and that 412 is not mic'd up, as you can see. It's only the load, so that the tube amps have the correct load. Okay, so that's going on here. The carpet helps for quietening the sound. My good old Tri-Amp Mark II. Some old mics, that is a 57 that I used in front of the speaker when mounted directly into a cabinet, things like that. Oh, there's more stuff here. There's more pedals. There's prototype speakers. My Super Reverb 410 housing. Here, 64 Super Reverb. Cool. And then more gear in here, more cables down there. These are my tape echoes, the Electro, no, what is the Echolette? Wait a minute, I show you. Heavy shit. The good old Echolette super chord, echo chord from Dynacord. Ah, this is what it is. And then there's a Vox. That's a very rare one. Let me show you this one. It looks so beautiful. Yeah, with, you know, the real deal. This is how it should be. You know, tape running around in loops. So, and what else? Ah, here, Vox AC30. Then there's my Audex's 15 button foot switch MIDI controller, a Tubeman Mark I, which is a great device, still sounds good. Then that's a homemade thing with another Umleitung, which is bypass, and a few funky switches. Tons of things. There's another Replex, maybe. Replex, SE100, Tubeman Mark II, foot switches, Vox AC30, more amps, my old rack underneath, nano cap, my test cabinet, good for quick 12-inch speaker check. you know, with fast clamp and crocodile clamps. So it takes only a second to change speaker. There's my Bassman, another 100 watt plexi. There's a big tone, there's a BluGuitar speaker. And as you can see, they're actually blue. That's the one F, which comes from a fat cap. Okay. So, next stop, video studio. Follow me. Here we go. Ta-da! The room where we spend every Wednesday from kind of 7-ish to prepare the whole thing till 10:30, 11-ish when we are finished. And this is important only for my size. All the tall guys like Euge Valuvirta, they knock their heads over here. But you can see this is simply connected with the shelf of more pedals. And we have the GoPro, which is the overhead camera here fixed on that aluminium bar. And well, this is the place. Maybe I can show you how it looks from like behind. These are the amps. There's good old Jimmy. And this is where I sit. And this is where I usually have my backing tracks with the adapter. This is where I start the backing tracks. This are the amps. And in front of me, you can see the monitor. And that monitor, I can read your comments. And then I can see what's going on, so I know where we are. It's not in sync, so we have a little latency going on here. But being here is a kind of nice thing, so I have access to more pedals. You know, then I have like booklets for the amps if I want that, or extra foot switches, stuff that I can prepare. It's kind of easy at hand, screwdrivers, more pedals, more guitars. Yeah, that's a nice place to be. Yeah, the Tele, the 71 Deluxe Gibson, which I like, and my 61 Strat, and my beloved Les Paul Gold Top. Yeah, on the other side we can see more lights, more cameras, and the video corner with the editing space. I have a switcher, basically it's a switcher for all the cameras, and yeah, this is what we are using for our live stream. Cool. This is how it looks behind the scenes. And now we start. Let's start. welcome to episode 106 and welcome to Mr. Richard Morgan.
Hello.
We were missing Rich on the video.
Yeah, I'm the exciting special guest at the end of the tour.
Of course.
And I was watching along with the guys as well, so
absolutely.
very, very exciting. I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen all those things before.
Of course, yeah.
Well, there were some secrets from your house that I hadn't seen, like that super secret top floor.
Yeah, under my roof.
Yeah, exactly. I've never seen that.
It's a good place because the isolation of the roof is very good, so it doesn't get too hot.
Yeah.
But it's nice and dry, not too dry. It's good storage place for like the magnetic tapes, you know, the 2-inch tapes, and my acoustic guitars and stuff like that. So, yeah, many rooms with many pieces of gear that I collected with the excuse being a sound designer.
That's a legitimate excuse, I would say.
Yeah, even my tax accountant could stop me when I had another invoice. Okay, there's a Marshall. Do you really need that amp? Yes, I do. So yeah, that's my job. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that very long tour, but I thought it's kind of interesting to see what's going on behind the scenes and how we work, you know, how BluGuitar is structured. There's more people, but they are freelance. And that's something I learned. Being a boss is if you have too many people employed, it's kind of a lot of financial load on the company. And then, you know, if there's time with a problem, then you get into trouble.
Yeah.
And to have, you know, flexible people with multi-talented like you, yeah, and the man behind the scenes, Lucas.
I mean, he crawled through a window for the sake of a live video just now.
Well, I mean, he does
That's
anything.
dedication, yeah.
I mean, he's young and flexible. I mean, he's still can bend his...
Yeah, I'd have got stuck if it was me, probably. The video would have ended there with you calling the fire brigade to get me out the window.
Lucas, very flexible. And I tell you, we've been to Hamburg shooting videos there, and the car was packed. Like he was on the back seat, and there was like a nano cap on this side, and there was a fat cap on that side, and a few cables in the in the face or whatever. So he could live on a banana for every 2 hours and made it up to Saarbrücken, which is kind of a almost 6-7 hour drive.
Yeah, and it's perfect as well because when we go to the NAMM show, we don't need to buy him a ticket for the plane. He just goes in the overhead luggage. It's all good.
Yeah,
we slip a banana up every 2 hours, and we're fine.
He's good. Nobody will notice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, you know, I'm talking about things, what's going on here in this house, in the live stream. So I thought it is something that we should show up. Maybe we can show one more thing. Is the overhead camera working? This is our switcher, the Key HE electronics. And as you can see, I have like cabinets set up, and then switch different amps, and that's kind of the heart of the scenario. So I can really A/B things, other amps, my amps, whatever, because anything A/B tells me the truth. If you have 5 seconds, just unplug one cable, move your face to another amp, look at that amp, your brain is brainwashed.
Yeah, it has to be direct.
Yeah. And it has actually to be sometimes without knowing it. And that's the point. A/B test is the only real proof of quality to me. All the rest is too much emotion in a way. And just recently we had a great video from...
Sonic Drive Studio.
Yeah.
Our friend John.
Yeah. From the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
And he came up with the idea of having an 800 all-tube amp versus the Mercury Edition Classic channel. And of course, some of you guys know the results, but maybe if you don't know, this guy, John, has done a blindfold test, and he has done the test for you. Maybe we show you a very short clip about that thing that happens, and a proper done A/B test from somebody else, which I think is even better. You know, I don't want to do everything, but it's great to see other people doing A/Bs as well. And yeah, John, I think, did it very nicely. So just have a quick look at what he has done.
Hey guys, it's John here from Sonic Drive Studio. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. Oh boy, will this be a fun video, because today we're going to do another blind test comparison. We're going to compare my real tube amplifier, the Marshall JCM 800 Studio or SC20H, to this solid state BluGuitar AMP1 Mercury Edition. Now I am saying solid state, but this amplifier does in fact have a nano tube in the power section, and that really helps to sort of bridge the gap between solid state tones and authentic tube tones. Here we go and enjoy.
So that was a pretty interesting comparison, huh?
Yeah.
When you hear it like that, so directly, I mean, I found it
Pretty
impossible
close, yeah.
to tell the difference pretty much. It's 50-50, and you can see in the videos, if you go to YouTube and watch that, so many people are guessing A is the Marshall, B is the AMP1, and so many are guessing the other. If you guys haven't watched the video yet,
Yeah.
drop us a guess in the live chat here. Do you think A or B was the AMP1?
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. And if you've already seen the reveal video, don't guess. Don't guess.
Don't do it.
We want to hear what everybody else says.
Yes. And yeah, I think that's the way to do it. A/B testing is my reference, and it always has been, even 20 years ago. And you have to make sure that you are using the same cables. When you go to the switcher, there's one cable from the guitar, and then when you have the cables coming from one amp to the other, if you would really do it properly, you use the same cables.
Yeah.
And so, like the picofarads, the load on the input circuitry is the same. And that's another great topic, cables for guitars. I mean, sometimes I saw a question in the chat earlier on, what's the best cable or something like that. To me, a cable kind of completes the system of the pickup in the guitar, which is the electrical part, but the pickup should match the character of the wood of the guitar, and the input stage. The AMP1 has a 2 mega ohm input stage, so this is very high impedance, and this input stage, this high impedance, gives you more detail, it's more sensitive, and that shows the quality of the guitar even more.
Yeah.
It's more sensitive, and that's why I've decided to have that 2 mega ohm, because my 61 Strat, if you put whatever 500K at the input, I can play any Squier or any custom shop, and it will sound not so different.
Yeah.
But with the 2 mega ohms, I can really tell the difference. And then the cable even is more influential to the tone, because it's so sensitive.
Yeah. Just look at the comments now then. So people starting to guess, and yeah, it's pretty mixed.
Yeah. So shall we unveil it now? Or, I mean, we know it because it's out there. Hey guys, you should watch the video on YouTube. Sonic Drive Studios. And then there's the all I can say, you choose the better sounding amp for the AMP1. Haha. That's what we already know. And the people who, anyway, just watch that video. It is, in the end, it's that close, that, you know, you take two Marshalls and there will be about that difference that you just heard from the two amps. And I even didn't have that exactly same amp when I was designing the amp 1. I had 100 watt, 800. And so my reference was a slightly different one.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's that close. And for me, it's all about to show you guys that it is possible to have the magic tone of the old school designs with modern technology, because that's what I'm doing the last 30 years, which doesn't mean that the old school amps they are still killer, but it is possible to catch it like 99%, and the last percent is not due to the technology, it's due to the variation of amps in general. Because two GTM 45s will not be the same, and two whatever 1959 super leads will also not be the same. So you can come very, very close to a point where I believe it doesn't matter anymore. That's my belief. If you have a different opinion, fair enough, it's good. But I think that's my job with all my experience, with all my collection, and that's my job to do that. And if you are happy with other qualities, no matter what you think of it, I'm happy for you guys too. But that's my approach. That's I dedicated, you know, my energy and time and basically my life to do that thing. And I'm very happy to do that because I find it exciting to have a collection. Second, I find it exciting to have a good collection because, you know, not any of these reference amps, you have to find the right ones too. And then it is an exciting journey to find what is the magic about the original amps. And then comes what can I learn from them, and then maybe transfer it one-to-one, or sometimes use it as a inspiration. It's like, okay, I like the creaminess of the GTM 45, but I want a little bit more bite, blah, blah, blah. And this is, and it all ends up in the AMPX. And here was a question, any progress on the AMPX? Yes, there is progress. We are actually going to NAMM, and we will have AMPX with us. We are talking the 3rd of June.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, this is the day when we unveil the AMPX at the floor in Hall D, booth 5427.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very exciting project. Yeah, you will. I tell you, it's kind of AMPX to me is kind of I wouldn't say the end of a journey, but it's kind of the logical consequence of my journey, and it's a big thing, and it gets bigger every day, and it will evolve over time as well. So what is under the hood keeps me busy every day, and also Julian and other people. We have 2 software engineers, and you know, we have a lot of engineering power in that small company. But this is what we are doing. We are doing products that are super specialized. We are not doing 10 different products like this amp and that model and that model. We don't have the capacity to do that, but we do products with a long lifespan and with a long product cycle, because we don't have the capacity to have a new hit every year and then you throw away your old amp. No, this is not my concept. So everything is long term. It comes in a smooth sine wave, and that's actually the best sound. Unless you do metal, that's a hard clip. Yeah, so that's me, the vintage guy with a vintage mindset that even makes sense in business terms, how the whole thing is.
Yeah, so June the 3rd is the launch day at the show.
Yep.
But as David was asking, will there be an Academy of Tone live from Los Angeles when we're there.
Yeah, we are planning this.
And yes, there will be. And it will actually be 2 days before the 3rd. So the 1st of June will be an Academy of Tone.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the one where we kind of
Show
break open the AMPX and show it off.
Yeah, okay.
That's the plan, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. My plan is to jump onto the plane, be in LA, and then we do a live stream, and then we do a show, and then we do another live stream in LA, because our flight is kind of for 2 weeks or so. So
Yep.
we have a bit more time over there, maybe to see some people behind the scenes over there, and or get burned in the heat of Los Angeles in summer. Last time I was there was really hot, but this is very long ago. Yeah, but this is what we are going to do.
Yeah, and Martin says, will the AMPX be fully functional?
What do you understand by fully functional? I mean, you can switch it on. It will have sounds. It will have effects. It will have displays. It will have knobs, and they all will do something. If that's all working, kind of. If you consider this to be fully functional, yes, but I don't consider this fully functional to the point that it can be actually released. So the plan is to show you something that works, and then we need some afterglow time and spend a little bit more time before it's fully functional. And it will never actually be fully functional in a way, if you look from another point of view, because we will add functionalities over the years. It's kind of a platform, and it will give you a certain amount of amp sounds and effects and whatever patches and programs and what we call blueprints at a certain point, and then half a year later there will be more. So where does it end? What is fully functional? Philosophy.
Yeah. Question from Mick. Which blueprint stuff will be available at launch? What effects will be there and so on?
Yeah.
Can you speak about that yet, or is it too early?
Oh, well, I can speak a little bit about it. The replex will be in there because I will be playing the AMPX after that with that replex, which is kind of my personal pedal board. And the replex is a part. Replex is that tube tape echo. That's part of my pedal board, and it's part of my signature tone. I need that for my 3-piece band and for a lot of things. And so that's a big thing, because we didn't do just a tape echo, we did the replex tape echo. And that's kind of a rip-off of a very old Echoplex Mark EP1, which is tube, the first version. And that has, to me, the most magic. And that will be available from the very beginning. Then we talk about our AMP1 amp sounds and standard effects. There's a pretty good reverb that we can still tweak and work on and blah, blah, blah. There's so many options, but we give you kind of a bread and butter.
Yep.
Bread and butter. That's a nice one.
Yeah, it's something different. That's for sure. What about IRs and stuff like that? The cabinet side.
Blue box, of course, is there. Yeah, and we will have something kind of dynamic. I was claiming dynamic IRs is the future. We will have something dynamic, but I still have more ideas to go into deeper things with dynamic IRs for the future. So we'll start with something, and hey, after NAMM, when the whole thing is replacing my pedal board on my gigs, I will make the field test myself, and then I have to decide if it's okay, good enough for release, or if it takes some extra time. But the good thing is the whole project actually is kind of a 5 years project. Nobody has seen the first years because it was like in my head and tons of scribbles and concept ideas, and I started with easier concepts, and then at a certain point I thought that's the way it should be. That makes total sense. And we also have to work on an internet platform where you can download future sounds. So, and therefore we have to create a format, a file format. We have USB connectivity. We have, and it's all kind of, BluGuitar is, we are doing things that are sometimes not normal. I mean, we have a 1/4-inch jack here that can be used for the remote, which I have plugged in but didn't touch any. I thought I would use it on the intro song, but my feet didn't move there. Or did they? I forgot it about it. Anyway, so, but this socket here is used for the remote one, which is here. And it can handle a standard foot switch, and it can handle the MIDI adapter, the MIDI 1 adapter. So who else is doing such things? I think nobody. And we have a USB port that is to connect with computers, to connect with USB sticks. And if you look into the detail thing, it's like, well, usually you should have a USB-A for sticks, and you have to have a USB-B for the computer, or C, and C can do it, but only blah, blah, blah. We only have one that does it all, but nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes. That's why I have 2 digital engineers. I don't understand any of that shit. I just want to have a smart solution, and they're doing it. And one of the guys actually, yeah, you have to go, meet the timeline, we have to finish this. And he says, don't call me. You get the next revision tomorrow morning at 7. Why? Because daytime, his mind is not set for programming. So when other people go to bed, he is starting the work, and then you can see the new software release is at 7 in the morning, day after day. So he works nights because he can focus. This is how people are. I mean, sometimes it's like, oh, anybody normal? Maybe not. But this is about creativity. And I do remember when I was composing, like for movie scores, I did the same thing. Because during the day you have a phone call, somebody calls you, and your mind shifts and you lose it. That can happen. I mean, when you're totally into the, in the zone of programming things, or it takes hours to get to this moment where your creativity is kind of floating or whatever. It's like where it just flows, where you can go with the flow for composing. It's like, and this is why I hate technology that distracts me. It's like another cable, another hum issue, that kills creativity. It needs to be plug and play and music. And that's the same thing in studio. And this is what you get when you work so focused. So no telephone, nobody. I don't want to see anybody when I do stuff like that. It's like, leave me alone. And I'm so happy because it's kind of my journey, and I climbed my hill, and then when I'm on the top, I said, yes, this is how I wrote all my songs, and or at least finalized stuff. And this is what a creative person like a software engineer also needs. So I do understand. As a business perspective, I think, he had a phase where he said, I can't do anything, the night sky is too great, I can see all the stars. We had a clear sky, and he spent all the nights looking at the universe. And I go, please, can you work on the software? And he, I have to see the stars. Anyway, so this is how it is. Any questions?
Yeah, loads of questions.
Yeah, okay, come on.
Yeah, just specifically about the AMPX. What about the dynamic IRs? Will we have IRs? Yes.
Yeah.
Talked about that. Are you concerned about getting Russian nanotubes for the AMP1 and the AMPX in the future?
Yeah, well, we have some here in Germany in stock. And I mean, there's still a channel to get the tubes from Russia to China, where our manufacturer is. So I'm not worried. As long as China doesn't get into war with Russia, which they probably will never do, that connection is open. And everything is so weird with the war and also with container shipments and lead times and availability of things. It's crazy these days. I already started, of course, to buy materials for the mass production of AMPX and more AMP1s and stuff like that, knowing all that. And, you know, I push the buyers, like I check that. It's on my agenda to double check what's happening there. And that's, but these days things are tough. I mean, if you are naive and think, okay, oh, now we have finished the AMPX, let's go for mass production and we order the components now. The supplier would say, I will send you the transformers in 420 days. You want that chip? That's 250 days from now. That, you know, and then there's a thing called spot buy where you can kind of try to get pieces, but it's very expensive most of the time. And you know, so you have to start the whole thing earlier, you know, but I'm doing that. And we spent some time sourcing materials and stuff like that too. And still that could be a problem because the world is crazy. The whole, what is it, the logistic channels with
supply chain?
Supply chain is crazy. We are lucky that we have Chinese manufacturing. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not I'm paid by the Chinese. I would rather manufacture in Germany, but the Chinese manufacture also a lot of the components. So being with a Chinese manufacturer has advantages on this side. Being a German company has advantages because I can source stuff from the West as well. I have all the, you know, we have American chips here, we have Japanese chips in there, it's all global stuff. The thing with the Chinese is if you try to get Chinese components from the West now, it's difficult. But because we have a Chinese manufacturer, the Chinese ask the Chinese, which is a great thing.
Yep.
And I do have Chinese friends. The guy who makes the blue box, for instance, is a killer friend, is a great friend of mine, and he's Mr. Sourcing, my secret weapon, because this is the guy who runs XYF, the company, you know, F-Zone. And it is, if I get stuck somewhere or my other Chinese manufacturer has a problem, I can always say, Fischer, you have all my pedals. I'm not getting any money for my whatever, what's called the Sweet Leo and
Golden Brownie?
Golden Brownie, all my pedals. I don't want any cent. I never got any cent. I just have a telephone line and a friend that says, I don't care how many Golden Brownies you sell, how much money you make, I don't care. But this guy saved my butt many times. Because if there's a problem in China, he can speak Chinese because he's Chinese and he's a source expert. He gets stuff that nobody gets. And that's even forbidden pigs. And I've been there, which is all great, you know, and it's good to have this kind of friends even at a time where we can't travel. there's still internet and there's still a personal connection with these people.
Yeah.
And that's, BluGuitar is small, but BluGuitar, I think, have a great network, global network with people from Australia to anywhere. This, yeah, and that helps. If you are in trouble, I just browse through my contacts and think, this guy. Now we call him. Hello, no, long time no see, long time no blah, blah. Yeah, of course, blah, blah, blah. Issue solved. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, just talking about tech, there was a question earlier which I thought was interesting, which I've seen elsewhere before. Someone was asking, what are the kind of differences between the BluGuitar tech and the Hughes and Kettner Spirit tone generator?
Okay, well, as probably some of the people know, I worked with Hughes and Kettner for 27 years. And my dear friend and the chief engineer of Hughes and Kettner, Bernd Schneider, just passed away 3 weeks ago. And just 2 weeks before or after his retirement. It's so sad. And he knew what I was doing because we spent so much time together. And there are a few similarities, but there are differences. Okay, if I go into detail, I tell you that my power amp on the AMP1 is totally different. This is a power amp that uses, well, first the nanotube, which Hughes and Kettner doesn't have. Second, analog processing added to that gives things like the sagging in the power amp. We have sagging in the preamp and the power amp. They only have it in the preamp. So their power amp is kind of stiff. Ours is spongy like a tube amp. And that's just one starting point. And then if we look into the details on the channels, the Black Spirit clean channel, it sounds pretty good. I mean, I tell you why. Because it is basically enough processing, tube-like processing, that can get you there. And most people don't feel or hear the difference versus a real tube amp or an AMP1. I mean, there is a difference. I can spot it, and I tell you, this AMP1 and a real tube amp sounds a bit richer. It's more density. The structure is slightly different, but most people think, and it's pretty good already. And the more gain we have, the more I can prove that my details, you know, the GCM 800 things are like the real deal. And that this is where I think the two paths kind of go apart, which is like, if I would have been still working with Bernd, we would have gotten there too. It's not a problem, but for political reasons, we chose not to, because I came to the point where I wanted to do the non-compromise thing with this technology, and that I couldn't do it with Hughes and Kettner back in the days, because nobody could put a price on the R&D time that would be necessary to put this onto the level that I wanted, and that was a conflict. So for me, the point was, shall I do it halfway, or shall I do it all the way? And I decided I take the full risk. I found my own company and I do it all the way. And here we are, and I think most of the people watching this know that this is a non-compromise product. And it took me years to convince a few people, because it doesn't look like what we see here, but do an A/B test and take a guess, and then we talk again. And it always has been like that. And now with like Mercury Edition, the Mercury is even more kind of middle of the road what people think of a classic tube amp. The Silver Edition is a bit more special. It's not less tube-like. Some people say, it has fizzy high end. No, it has a certain vintage quality that the real good old tube amps, the vintage tube amps have. They have that quality. But most people don't have those good old fizzy, nice tube amps that I have. This is what I was inspired at the time. And some people love it. Other people like, more this GSIM 800, which is a great tone, and everybody loves the 800, including myself. But, for me personally, the vintage channel and that extra zzz on top, that's the magic of some of my vintage amps. And this is in the silver edition. And that's, it's there. Anyway, yeah, other differences. I have different approaches in some aspects. Amp 1 is an amp with the classic features of effects, a boost, effects loop, blah blah blah, channel, and I left it for there. And then when I thought about more, that's why AMPX took so long. One way of progressing from amp 1 to more would have been something like amp 2, which could be, let's put a delay in it, the old using Kettner chip and have the same old chorus, which is not bad, but not exciting. And I thought, stop, wait a minute. I'm as keen on effects as I am on amp tones. So let me create a platform with a 16-core DSP, 16 cores, which means, I don't know, remember the chip that Kettner is using, Michele chip from back in the days. It's pretty good for what it was, but it's like not the latest thing, and it has maybe 2 cores or maybe only 1. So we have 16, and so we can do 5 blue boxes, and we can do reverb, and we can do blah blah blah. So, it's a platform, and that power can be used for me for the next 10 years, and that makes the whole thing a system. And it took me actually like almost 2 years to find the sweet spot of where do I go from amp 1 to the next level. And I skipped all the 2, 3, 4, 5. I went, you know what, that's halfway, let's go it all the way, make it X, and here we are. And yeah, it will keep us busy. Yeah.
Moving to the opposite end of the spectrum now. This is a question that I saw asked already again, but it's about looking after your hands as a guitar player. Have you ever had any problems with your wrists, any physical, medical sort of problems? Do you stretch your hands before warming up? How do you look after yourself in that way? Because it happens to a lot of players, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, this is, it's maybe cliche, maybe not. Okay, when I was a teenager, I had this thing, Sehnenscheidenentzündung, which is the strings inside.
The tendons?
Tendons, infection. It's not an infection, this Entzündung.
Inflammation.
Inflammation, okay.
Yeah.
So if you play too much, if you cramp your hands, if you practice too much, you come to the point where it hurts. And when it hurts, you all are already, you went too far.
Yeah.
And I've been there as a teenager because, when I was like 15, I wanted to be Yngwie or whatever. I mean, I tried to be fast and whatnot. And what happened? I learned the lesson because the doctor said, you're not doing anything the next 2 weeks. Use this kind of cream and that's it. So the next thing I learned from that lesson is don't do 3 hours of bar chords. You can do that, but just the pressure between these two, the muscle here, will cramp because it's the same shape and the same shape and the same shape. So be smart and have this. It's a much more ergonomic way for your hand, and find a neck that suits your hand. If it's too skinny, it's not good. If it's too fat, it's not good. Mm-hmm. So you have to feel comfortable. So that's the next. So, and then to be honest, I have no time to warm up these days because, and this is really the last 20 years. So for me, practicing is absolutely luxury. And when I have some time, I either use it for preparing, like learning a song that I have to play, which is not in my repertoire or is beyond my vocabulary or something. And that's what I'm doing. But I can give you a few exercises. So basically, it has to be smooth and you don't have to press. I mean, all this hard pressing, sometimes it looks like I would be pressing hard, but I press hard on the right hand, yeah. I have a pretty hard attack here, but the fingers here shouldn't press the fretboard too hard. So that's also bad for the intonation. If you press too hard, you're going sharp. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, so what I'm doing is I play my fast shit and I take a rest. No. That's cool. It's be in the flow. Don't think too much, and then it's. That's the way the basic approach goes. And don't try to play things that your hands are not made for. I mean, some people love Alan Holdsworth, and I mean, he was a genius, but he had hands like this. And the chords that he plays I can't do it. It's like, shrink the guitar by 50%, and then maybe. But I mean, he could do it on any guitar. And for him, it was natural, but stay within your comfort zone. Try to step out, but not by torturing your system. A lot of players, that Steve Morse, for instance, he's killer player, and he plays all these beautiful arpeggios and the lines, and he now has severe problems with his hands. I know that. I think he practiced too much, and he probably went too far. I mean, who am I to tell such a maestro what he has to do or what not? But, I mean, he's too good. That's the one thing. But on the other hand, he probably did things that were a little bit too much for their hands. And here, that's another thing about the angle. I can feel like what I'm doing now is a bit too much tension here. So I have to find a way how that's more comfortable. Okay, when I'm standing, it's a bit easier for me, at least I think it is. When I'm sitting, I have to find, I sometimes put the guitar here because it's a natural thing to play here, and and stuff like this probably works better here.
Are you one of those, though, who, when you're playing standing up, you try and have the guitar in the same position relative to you as when you're sat down? Because if you practice sat down and then you gig standing up, and the guitar is in a different position, it can be very different. Yeah. And that can also cause pain as well.
Yeah.
What you were saying about the hand that plays the chords, the left hand.
I'll show you something.
If you're I think what they normally say is that your forearm and your hand should be parallel like that, as opposed to an angle.
So this is my live guitar, my 61 string. Let me stand up. So this is how it is.
Yeah.
And see, this is for my way of, it's a natural flow.
Yeah.
In the early days, I used to have straps. I still have those straps somewhere, where I could change the height of the guitar to bring it up or down with like 3 or 4 things here. I have these, what is it called? They're called locks. What's the company? Anyway, it's kind of easy and fast.
It's not the Dunlop ones, is it?
No, this is I think it's a German company. They used for the coverings of lorries, for the big things on boats. And yeah, I used them when I was a teenager, and I rediscovered them, and locks they are called. And what is the company? Well, you will find. Anyway, but so this is very fast when you want to switch the position of the guitar. And you play differently. When the guitar is more up, it's cool for like a funk style things. I mean, when it's down, it is for those kind of chords, it's already wrong. You know, there's less tension in your hands when the guitar comes closer, especially when you play like complicated chords, you know, and with wide spread like this. I mean, if all the way low, then this becomes a critical angle.
Yep.
Higher, less. Lower, more. And that's what I learned. So you should be totally comfortable with your guitar and find a position that makes you happy. And you know, Michael Schenker with the put your V between the legs. And this is, you know, with all the bendings that he does, that's the way, you know. Okay. One exercise to warm up. I mean, there's not. We all want to play fast, and most people are afraid to play fast. Fear is a bad advocate. Don't be afraid of anything. So there's Mario Battido. What's the guy with the double neck guitar?
Oh, Michelangelo.
Michelangelo, yeah, Battido, yeah. So, and he has the potential fast speed, whatever. He has the PPS, some American term for that. And it's like, whatever speed you can get there, you can apply to the string. You can find a way how the left hand will follow this kind of thing. And that's a way to learn. Some people have more difficulties to do that, other people need more time, but I can kind of spread some bullshit notes on the left hand just to get the synchronization going. If you would go there comes a point where your brain cannot follow. It's like I have to come to a point where I don't think anymore. It's like, okay, it's not perfect yet, but when I do this for a while, I can kind of spread my gaps evenly, and it's kind of doing the stairs with it in a smooth pattern. This is how you find your speed for the left and the right leg or whatever. This is kind of to getting in sync, and that's a, you know, total nonsense now. But this, you know, if you feel like, oh, I have to play the right note and I have to play upstroke, downstroke, and the whole thing, it's stress for you. And stress is no good. Of course, there are things that I have to practice as well for precision, where you know, and it's just like a, so that's something. Or I have my, this is for my Strut King song. I haven't played it for years, but it's still there. And that's the other trick. I write songs with exercises for myself. And that has always been my trick. Make songs that are easy and have one part that, oh, what was this again? But then when you have to play it, you are on the edge of your comfort zone. And then there's one thing that you always have to learn. You know, I've done this from my first solo record, from kind of a therapy for me to get to the next level, not to go this way. So to keep that level or maybe even increase, have a little challenge element. But don't, if you push too hard, you get cramped and it's over. Think long term. It's the same thing like my business plan. It's like, hey, AMPX takes 5 years to see the light, and it takes at least 10 years to be there, and there's another 5 years, and it still will be, and then it will become a classic. We've seen this in history. Why not with guitar amps? Well, there's guitar amps like that. And then if you think like that in long terms, you come to different conclusions, like, I want to be the fastest guitar player tomorrow because Yngwie has infected me with a speed bug, which was my mistake. I've learned that mistake, so that's the answer.
Yeah. So you had your own injuries or discomforts when playing guitar. What would you recommend to someone out there who is practicing, they want to get better, Yngwie is their god, or maybe Thomas Blug is, they want to play the stuff you're doing, but they're experiencing pain. What would you recommend that they do?
The first thing is a general advice: go with the flow. I preach this kind of in every seminar or lesson that I do, because if you are in the flow, just like the software engineer, you know, if you come to the flow, you are more productive, you are better. If you are not in the zone, if you are striving to get at least to that level, your performance is not good, and the fun level is sinking. No shrinking. That's not the concept. Start with the stuff that you feel comfortable, and then put that little extra challenge on top that is not too far out. You know, if you have something like, for instance, if you manage like, okay, we can cheat for the guys that have no right hand. We have 3 notes per string, you know. So if you have that fingering, well, you can use that. And then I just make 1 stroke per string here. But this is something we can all do. It's like, you can do it on 1 string, you can do it on 2 strings. You know, go in little steps, make it on 3 strings, and then maybe move position to this one. So I'm not thinking of, man, this is 6 notes per beat and blah blah blah. I just think bloom 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 bloom. Simple. Simplify the whole thing. And the next level is once you have this once you have achieved this kind of success, then you can revisit the whole thing and think, okay, I was only cheating. So, okay, you can manage to play that at a certain speed. And then there comes the point where it's like, you're getting out of sync. Totally normal. But remember, there was time I could play that fast. So, and then, okay, I mean, it's not possible. So, next thing is you have to learn to fly, which means your right hand has to fly, and you have to find the one again, which you did in the early exercise, like only the first note. So, and then when you fly with the right hand and have that potential fast speed, Michael style, you have to synchronize and get the one again with that here. Huh? When I start, there's a limit. My brain doesn't get it together. So I started with a different thought. I'm not thinking 1, 2, 3, run, it's way too fast. I think 1, 1, 1. And the program that runs is 3 on the right hand. That's the trick. And then there's your Ingvi. Play some harmonic minor and your stuff like that.
Yeah. So to go back to the question that I actually asked,
Yeah.
if you're doing all that stuff
Yeah.
and it's causing you pain, what would you recommend the guys then?
Step back,
Yeah.
have fun. That's, I mean, the biggest, I'm thinking long term. That's what I learned. If you get stuck, it kills the whole thing. I mean, if your hands, if you have to wear the gips, or what is it called?
The cast.
Yeah, the cast, you know, oh, I can't do anything anymore. And it's over. So that's too far. Don't go there. Don't do that. Stop before you go there. Do a little challenge, but not too much. I mean, if you want to become a great whatever jogger, runner, or something, if you go with the pros at the first day, I mean, you probably end up in hospital because you can't breathe, your muscles will cramp, you fall on your face, and because there's no synchronicity and nothing. So start with something that you understand, and then go step by step. Push yourself, but not too hard. That's basically the lesson. And one philosophy lesson here is things are easier than you first think. If you think Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and Yngwie Malmsteen, they are gods. They are gods, sure, but they are humans too. The moment you meet them and you ask them, what's your trick? Joe says, well, I will do a little bit legato and I put some extra gain in here. And it's cool. It's cool. But this is how it is. And it's when you're young, or when you're at a certain level, you think, oh, blah, blah, blah. Don't go to the hardest bits first. You know, grow slowly and healthy, and you will get there. One day you will be big and strong, and you will do your thing. And if you're not the best technician, nobody cares, because you can still compensate it. You can make music and get rich. And most people that are not the best solo guitar players make more money because they wrote the better songs. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
So
there you go.
There's a place for everybody.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, it is very important to say that you don't go from 0 to Vi
Yeah.
just like that. I mean, the progress that you just showed there, speeding up with the picking hand, it takes years of dedicated practice. But
but in just like kids playing, being naive and not putting too much pressure on you. That's the thing. I mean, putting pressure on you is doing the cramp thing. So, and then that's why I enjoy to have fun with music. And the older I get, the weirder I get with the music. I mean, this is why I called my band my band Rock Anarchy, because I want to be free to do whatever. And when I feel like I want to shred, I shred, and I shred when it's unexpected. And sometimes I just slow down and play a different style, but it's fresh. It's the fresh, unknown thing. That's what I enjoy the most. And by the way, Rock Anarchy plays next Sunday here for the Saarland people at the Bahnhof in Pöttlingen. Bahnhof Pöttlingen, Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock outside, will be beautiful weather. And that's my challenge, because they asked me, can you bring an... Well, the promoter is a female. She says, after you have been playing here with Tony Carey and David Reedman and men and even more men, can you bring a woman on stage? Sure, I can. So, Sabrina. Sabrina was on my DVD with the orchestra. This one. Symphony orchestra, 80-piece orchestra. And yeah, she's a killer female vocalist. And then she's doing Bond. License to Kill. Okay, last time I played License to Kill was with 80-piece orchestra. How to put that in a 3-piece band? It actually works. I show you. Hendrix style. I can make an arrangement that with my reflex delay sounds like an orchestra. I mean, not really, but I can make it work.
What were the AMP1 settings for that?
Nothing special. My 555 here, and the boost, I don't know, the boost up, vintage channel. That's my standard settings. It's the special nothing settings. Gain on 10 because I do it with the guitar, and 555, reverb is on 5 or 6. That's it. But where is my delay? I had a delay in the loop and it's gone. Did you die? Sorry, I'm playing an Iridium all the time. And I should play a Mercury. And then now rewind the whole episode, and now we have the full sound. Wait a minute. There's my delay. See, this is how I can fool myself on the switcher. But now I'm back on my sound. So again, this is, I was looking, where's my delay? I can see. Yeah. that's me. I mean, just to compare, the Iridium is like, okay, you know, the tone control's all down. Let's put it in the middle so we have at least something that can. Okay, that would be middle. They're both great amps, but you know, I'm the vintage guy. That's why. My trick is using all this clean range, and then have something like, you know, when I go. Pickups, feedback, too much vintage. Anyway, okay, what was the next?
So you're back live playing James Bond this weekend,
Yeah.
and there is a nice bit of feedback from Hardy, who was at Rock Anarchy last weekend in Stuttgart, in Germany. He went to see you. Said it was so much fun and inspirational for him as well. And thanks, Thomas.
Hi, Hardy.
Yeah.
I think he was the guy with the one shirt as well. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that gig, and I think the audience did too, because we didn't play there for at least a year and a half or something because of COVID. And then you play that nice little wooden stage. The sound guy goes, "You're too loud." I said, "No, I'm not." And then it's like I went off stage, listened to a band, I thought, man, you are too young. Listen to guitar music. The guitar used to be louder back in the 70s. And then after the gig, he understood the whole thing and he said, man, you're totally right. This was blah, blah, blah. I hope I was on stage, but I think he understood how it should work. And nice guy, good sound. I think everybody enjoyed that gig. Hey, Hardy, yeah. Now I know who Hardy is.
There we go. Let's just change tack a little bit. There's a bit of a discussion going on in the chat about guitar speaker cabinets. So Nikos started the topic and he said guitar speaker cabinets are just simple wooden boxes. Can a more complicated construction, like tunnels and vents inside, for example, rather like you see on some hi-fi cabinets, can that make the sound bigger? Have you experimented with this?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when you look at our cabinets, like nano cap, fat cap especially, when I started a nano cap, I started from the smallest possible box for a 12-inch. And I took what I could get with the 12-inch speaker and with the housing as it was. So this is where usually people would stop. And then I started to experiment. Okay, can I make it a little bit deeper? Can I make a tunnel? Where do I put a tunnel? Do I put it on one side? Do I put it in four corners? How deep is the tunnel? And all that stuff. And if you max that out, you can gain kind of volume in tone, and physically you can measure stuff and stuff. So it's kind of, this is the frequency range you get from your speaker, and then you add a little bit underneath to it and, you know, get a bit more out of that. There are limits, but
Yes, trust me, you can hear everything on a cabinet. These extra things and even the wood, if you have whatever, 3 plywood, 8 plies, the density, the weight, and this is why people rave about the old Fender pine combos, because they grow in the desert of California, just next to the factory of Fender. You know, they went to the garden and cut. No, but very dry climate makes very special wood and resonant wood, because trees grow slowly. That's especially good for necks. For instance, why I have my necks for the Blue guitars from, at this point, from Japan, and the guy comes from the mountains that supplies the necks. The tone of a guitar is a lot in the neck, a lot. On the cabinets, it's less in percentage compared to guitars, but it's still there. And you know, we experimented, or I experimented a lot with the size, the tunnels, and even a little bit of dampening wool. And I tried on one side, on the other side, on 2 sides, more, less, and I got ears. And in the end, of course, there's always measurements going on, because diagrams and measurements give you some input, but your ears give you the other input.
Yeah.
And then you get a feel for, what I miss in the tone is that, where's the it's there. And then maybe you have an EQ and try, this would be nice to get a little bit more here. And then you look at ways how to achieve that boost of the frequency that you're looking for. Sometimes you get it.
Yeah, and I suppose one of the other specific challenges that you've always had has been trying to get the biggest possible sound out of a small cabinet. That was the goal with the Nano Cab, right?
Yeah, and the point is, to get that, the speaker has to match the cabinet. If you take a great speaker, it's still a great speaker, but if it's coming to the wrong cabinet, it loses some of the potential that it has. So I'm always go from 2 sides. One thing is I max out the cabinet housing, and then I kind of match the speaker again to that housing. So iteration number 1 is that kind of speaker, version 1 to that housing, and then a little bit here and a little bit there. It's a few percents here and there, and then it ends up to max it out. That's the job. And it requires several loops. What are the questions?
Sally is saying...
Damping wool.
Yeah, damping wool is something that Leo Fender did back in the 60s in his piggyback amps.
Yeah, see. I mean, it's used in hi-fi a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan for everything, but it's, you know, I try anything that is available. And if that's a means to get to where I want it to be, I use it. I have no issues with it. And by the way, the dampening wool in the Nano Cab is black, because you can remove the cover on the back for a little bit different bass resonance, and then you don't want to see white, ugly dampening wool like this on a black cabinet. No, it's actually black. And the speakers are blue, but you don't see them because there's the dampening wool. But it's still blue. If you cut the dampening wool, you can look, it's blue speakers. Anyway.
Yeah. Now we come closer to the end for tonight. Do you want to reveal the answer to the Sonic Drive Studios, which was A and which was B? Hopefully somebody is still there who was watching that clip. I'm
actually not sure anymore. I think B was the AMP1. And in the reveal video from John, maybe I find it. It's ouch. In the reveal video, wait a minute. I probably find it. Oh, wait a minute. 92 guessed that A was the BluGuitar amp1 and that B was the Marshall. So 92 were wrong. 56 of you guessed that B was the BluGuitar and that and A was the Marshall. So 52 of you were wrong. Were right. So looks like the majority of the wrong was wrong, but there is absolutely no shame in that. They sounded very close. And then not of all of you gave the preference, but the guys who gave a preference, what they liked better was 30 people preferred the sound of the Marshall and 42 people preferred the sound of the AMP1. Anyway, this was what the reveal video was like. In the end, it's esoteric to me. It shows we are very close and we can care about playing the guitar. The sound is there, no worries. And if you like it better, whatever you like better, buy it. I'm happy for everybody that is happy with the gear. And if it's whatever Marshall, look at me. I paid a lot of money to Marshall in the way, And yeah. To me, it's just a proof that this thing and this thing is good enough to make great tones and good music. And the rest is having fun on gigs. This is what it's all about in the end. So yeah, Hardy. And what's the deal with the neodymium speakers? Yeah, he heard my... I'm working on neo speakers as well. I have a sample that I'm very impressed by, but again, I have another sample. I asked for another sample with some more tweaks, and it's still ongoing. I max out things until the company doesn't pick up the emails anymore or the phone. It's like let's see how far we can go.
Yeah, but speakers is a really interesting topic, and again, watching or being there for the live walkthrough earlier and looking at your speaker collection, I think at some point in the future we have to do an Academy of Tone about different speakers. I think that would be fascinating once we get the chance to do it.
Yeah, we have to find a proper setup where the sound is really transferred to the YouTube, so you guys get the truth and not this is that speaker and then it sounds the same like the next one, because it is about those nuances. And then we can make experiments like put all my different speakers in one cabinet, then this will show what that what the speakers are different. And then we put the same speaker in a different cabinet and the whole world will change. And then you will find that there's several mixtures that make total sense. Like if you put a fat cap speaker into a nano cap, it's no good. Vice versa, it's okay, but not this way around. It's I worked on that stuff to max it out. Anyway, what's the last question here? Are you intending to sell your Blue speakers on their own? Not really. I mean, if you're totally desperate, pretend you have a broken one and call our service. Maybe somebody is weak and sells you a speaker, but not officially. And then again, it needs to match the cabinet. If you have a cabinet and you get the wrong speaker, even if it's a great speaker, it's not a great combination. So I'm not saying this because I want to sell our cabinets. No, this is a fact. It's the same with like Celestion speakers or other speakers. There are some very happy marriages and there are some killer speaker, not the right housing for it.
Yeah. The other part of that question was, are there any specific other speakers, for example, from Celestion that you could compare to the BluGuitar speakers?
I always liked Greenbacks. The issue with Greenbacks is they only have 25 watts, and so they don't have to punch. You need to have like a 4x12 with Greenbacks. That's my cup of tea. And therefore, that's a speaker that I like. But the Greenbacks only made until the 80s. When they shift to Chinese production, they lost it. Vintage 30s is a bread and butter speaker, always great. but it needs to be in the right cabinet. For instance, Bogner has some cabinets. I have a Bogner in the other room. I didn't show you. It was in the pile under the table. And that Vintage 30 in that particular cabinet makes total sense. So a Vintage 30 can be used also in a fat cab. I had that, makes also sense. I'm not so sure in the nano cab if that's the right combination. But a greenback in a nano cab makes sense. On the other hand, a greenback in a nano cab is not strong enough. It's so weak, you will kill it. So if you play at home, go for it. Old greenback, not. It needs to be the 80s greenback at least. And then, yeah. So, but in general, I like G1265s a lot, which is the Angus Young speaker, and it's a great overall speaker. It's a later selection, and yeah, we have to do the speaker episode because too many. There's, Eminence. There's a few speakers that I like. Not all of them. Some of them sound too American to my European British ears, but they have some that makes sense too. And then, of course, there's Jensen, and the Neo Jensens are not too bad, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not happy with all the stock stuff. That's why I have to do my own in the end.
So there you go. And this would be a good time to tease what's coming next week, because speakers are going to be a very big part of that discussion.
Exactly. Hoovy is coming. Hoovy is the guy who has this D-Flex. The D-Flex is a thing that you can put in front of your speakers that will spread the sound like in a omnidirectional way, so it evens out. In a standard situation, a speaker has always a beam, so like it's very sharp there and it's getting dull on the edges, and that evens that out. And Hoovy is a tall guy. And he always had a cabinet on the floor, which makes a lot of sense because of the bass, but he couldn't hear anything. So he is the guy that had to find a solution. And he had a long journey until he finally had his product, the D-Flex, and found his own company. But we know each other for very long. And he will come next week. And we will talk about his journey, his experience, and what he thinks is important in hearing. I mean, it's kind of a journey that starts with old school cabinets up until in-ear monitors and back. So I'm not saying in-ear monitors are bad, but it's kind of, I try to avoid them. Some people love them. But with the standard cabinets, there is a journey as well. And he is somebody that built also his own cabinets and experimented a lot in the studio, blah, blah, blah. So this is very exciting to talk with him about all his experiences. Yeah, he's coming next week, and he will talk about things like how cut through the mix and how things will work. And yeah, he's very tall. I hope he's still in the picture, or we have to get him a stool that is not as high.
He can sit on the floor.
Yeah, I think I have the piano stool. That's the way how to. So we are still in the same frame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so hey, I think you've seen the behind the scenes episode today, and yeah, there's so much to come next week, and I'm excited about the America trip and AMPX and stuff like that.
It's going to be good. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new episode of Academy of Tone.
Yeah. Subscribe to the channel. Yeah. That's something I'll never say. So now I say it again. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you guys next week with Hoovy. Same place, same time. Take care. Cheers.